Can Arkansas State stay hot? It's Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your team every day. This one segment episode, a little Sunday morning Sunbelt basketball preview. That was a mouthful. Is, you know what? Let's try that again. That doesn't look good. All right. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Can Arkansas State stay hot? It's Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, a quick one segment Saturday morning Sunbelt basketball preview. By the way, the alma mater, Division III, Oswego State, playing for the SUNYAC Championship. Raise your hand if your alma mater is 25-1. How about that? They're playing SUNY New Paltz for the SUNYAC Championship. I think 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be at the Cajuns baseball game, and we'll have one eye on that ball game. They've been pretty good for a number of years now. All right, so Sunbelt. So what happens is when you usually come off a big win, can you duplicate that? All right, so and we have the opposite as well going at each other. But you got Arkansas State taking on South Alabama, and South Alabama probably played as well as anybody on Thursday. It was at Southern Miss, and they got technical and banged up a little bit. Andre Cabello was actually sick more than concussion. I think that's what we came down to. He got kicked out of the ball game. But South Alabama played as well as anybody. App State, JMU, whatever the case may be. Can they do that again? Arkansas State, they did a good job of hanging tough, right? I mean, very easy to blow a 19-point lead and then lose by 10. It just is. Instead, they went the other way. They actually won the basketball game. Hicks with a big dunk and Nelson with a big block. Let's see what the line is. It's 8.5. That's a lot. I think that's a lot. Now, Arkansas State beat South Alabama in South, I believe, like last weekend, right? Did it just happen? Oh, no, it wasn't. 76-73. I think 8's a lot. I think South Alabama has figured something out. We'll see if Arkansas State can defend Tabe. I think Arkansas State wins it. I think South Alabama covers. Is that a cop-out? I do that a lot. But I think Arkansas State wins it at home. 8.5 seems to be a lot. I would have gone 4.5, 5, and taken Arkansas State. 8.5 seems to be a little bit high. But both teams, relatively speaking, are coming off good wins. Can they do it again? It's really tough to duplicate that 2 times in a row. Arkansas State coming off just the high of beating Troy and national TV and a huge crowd. South Alabama just trying to avoid being in that bottom 4. So this is a big ball game for South Alabama, and Arkansas State trying to keep up with the Cajuns. Speaking of the Cajuns, they get Southern Miss. Now, I don't think you could find 2 teams that played worse on this past weekend or this past week on Wednesday or Thursday. And the Cajuns just played an awful basketball game. All right. I don't think ULM played all that well either, but they played well enough to win. Cajuns did not, and they have not shot the ball well at all. And their room for error is gone now that they're tied with Arkansas State. They win the tiebreaker, but now they can't lose another ball game, so to speak, and fall one game behind. This is a big ball game. If the Cajuns can shoot it, they'll be in it. But I think Southern Miss is going to be pumped up. I think a big crowd is expected. It wasn't that big of a crowd, I didn't think, on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised if this one went either way. Friends here are saying, people cover the team, think maybe the Cajuns' legs have gone. They just don't shoot it as well on the road as they do at home. They were playing, I know they lost to Georgia State, but they hammered Bowling Green. They just have not shot it well. They didn't shoot it well at ODU. They shot it well to begin with at App State and then didn't at the end. And, I mean, they could make layups against ULM. So I'll take the Cajuns. That's probably a little bit of a homer picks. They are actually favored by 2.5. That is interesting to me. They're favored on the road at 2.5. Elsewhere today in the Sun Belt, you got Texas State and Georgia State. I think Texas State is probably, I guess they could reel off 3 in a row and maybe avoid the bottom 4. Georgia State coming off that dramatic victory, hitting a 3 late. A win would solidify them outside of the top, outside of the bottom 4. That's what they are looking to avoid. Monroe all of a sudden is playing well. They get Troy. This will be an interesting ball game for Troy, and it is a little bit early. It's 2:30 Central Time, so it's not even 48 hours after they played App State. Can Troy get up? Monroe, again, did not play very well against the Cajuns. The only thing they did better, they shot a little bit better from the floor, but that's because I think the Cajuns had like 24 more shots from the floor. One shot 43%, one shot 39%. They did shoot more free throws, so Bob Marlin's not wrong to say that wasn't the difference in the game. But the Cajuns won almost every other statistic except the one that's the most important one. We'll see if Monroe can keep up. Does Troy, can they bounce back after a tough loss? They don't play particularly well on the road. And this is, all of a sudden, you lose 2 in a row. If you're Troy, now you have to worry about being in the top 4. So this is a big ball game for Troy. As we pointed out yesterday, someone pointed out to me, if the Cajuns had won that ball game against ULM, they could be in a position to finish 3rd. Now they could be in a position to finish 5th. I will take, I'm going to take Troy in this one. It's 5.5 on the road. That's a tough one. I have been bitten before betting against Scott Cross's guys. I'll take Troy, and I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to bounce back. It may be a little bit of a slow start, which they had against App State, so maybe they'll try to avoid that. I don't believe they'll fall behind by 19, but I will take Troy minus the 5.5. James Madison on the road against Georgia Southern. James Madison trying to keep up with App State. They're 1 game back, but they need to finish 1 game ahead because they lose the tiebreaker. Georgia Southern, 6-9. They're looking to avoid the bottom 4. This is a tough spot for Georgia Southern. I'm going to take James Madison. It's an 11.5-point spread. I'm going to take James Madison. I'm going to cop out again. I'm going to take James Madison to win. I'm going to take Georgia Southern to cover. All right. Marshall, they got a couple game, maybe 1 game lead over the bottom 4, and they're hosting App State. App State's really impressive. In fact, both James Madison and App State have been really impressive as of late. App State maybe have not played the best, right? The Cajuns gave them a little bit of a run. ODU gave them a little bit of a run. But the last 5 to 7 minutes of both those games were all App State. I got to be real impressed. One was at home, one was on the road. I'm going to take App State minus the 6.5. I'm not sure what's happened with Marshall this year. They haven't been very consistent. They've been under 500 most of the year, and they are under 500. I'm going to take App State on the road in Huntington. And Old Dominion, who I was actually impressed with, really gave App State, I wouldn't say a run for their money, but hung with them for about 33 minutes on Thursday. ODU is favored in this one. This is a crazy ball game. ODU is favored against Coastal Carolina. This is real. Now, Old Dominion is last. They're 2-13. They're in the bottom 4. Coastal Carolina with a win can maybe avoid the bottom four. Let me see what the standings are. They may be one game out of that. So they trail the other teams by one ball game. But there's a shot. All right, South Alabama's playing Arkansas State. Monroe's playing Troy. And Georgia Southern's playing JMU. All those three teams could lose. That is not out of the realm of possibility. And if Coastal Carolina wins, they're all tied going into the final week of play. So this is a big ball game for Coastal Carolina. Let's see if Coastal Carolina can step up just a little bit. My goodness. And get something done on the road. ODU's favored by 5.5. Again, was really impressed with ODU. Let's see if they have a little bit of a letdown if they're playing Coastal Carolina. All right. Today's episode was brought to you quickly by FanDuel. Get your buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, a quick Saturday morning preview of Sunbelt basketball. Really appreciate the continued support. Should probably mention that Georgia State finally announced at like 8:15 on a Friday night Eastern time, excuse me, that Dell McGee is their head coach. We did a little bit of a short and the back end of the episode on, what could have been yesterday. It could have been yesterday's episode. Because the reports were all out that he was getting the gig. So we'll see. He's got to put together a staff. That's going to have to be done quickly. Going to have to hit the portal. I think they're going to be just fine. It may take a year or so before they have what they want there at Georgia State. But a good job by getting somebody who is connected to Georgia recruiting. That's a good job by Georgia State. All right, thanks so much. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the baseball. Cajuns took one on the chin against Rice, but actually one of the better games that they played. They lost 2-1. The pitchers were in and out of trouble. I was told, how about this one? Rice threw 61 less pitches than the Cajuns, and Rice only won 2-1. So, Cajuns just could not get that base hit. They had a tough time getting any hits yesterday. All right, by the way, South Alabama, and I think South Alabama and Arkansas State both won, both undefeated, so that's nice. All right, we'll have more complete wrap-up, baseball, basketball, come Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the Saturday. Go Great Lakers. I'm Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.